Some stupid people write stupid things, and other stupid people read them. Peter cursed while reading his favorite newspaper devoted to healthy living. In this newspaper, in the humor section, he saw a story that completely changed his well-established life. The story was simple and a little naive. It was about a husband who decided to test the love of his wife and mistress. He pretended to be sick and asked his loyal friend to inform both women about his severe condition. Of course, the young mistress immediately abandoned him, even though yesterday she confessed her eternal love. But his wife immediately came to the hospital. She was very upset and said that she needed her beloved husband in any condition. Of course, she needs him in any condition. I wonder what happens if I end up in the same situation. But I hope it won't happen to me. Peter muttered and started reading a useful article about lowering cholesterol in the blood. But the silly story attracted the man's attention. And suddenly a sly idea popped into his head. What if I'd write it the same? It was funny. But he had both a loving, faithful wife and the same loving, faithful mistress. And he didn't know which one to choose and tormented them both with lies and promises. Whom shall I choose? Peter asked his friends. But these boring family people didn't understand what it was like to feel love again at the age of 53. To constantly see the passion and love in the eyes of a young girl whose appearance was flawless. To talk about books and music, not about family problems and repairs. To inhale the sweet scent of her hair. Her natural colored hair was so soft and silky, and the skin of her body was so smooth and young. Peter told about it all to his friends and saw in their eyes not envy, but a slight misunderstanding. Peter, every age is beautiful in some way. Every age has its own emotions and its own beauty. And any young girl gets old eventually. But don't try to outsmart everyone. She's a woman. She can get revenge because you are lying to her. His friends explained to him. Besides, you're much older than she is. You could be her father. She's the same age as your youngest daughter, right? Is that a problem? Peter replied angrily, preferring to ignore this unpleasant fact. Yeah, it's a huge problem. Just imagine, she wants to go to a party and dance, and you want to stay home and lie on the couch because your back hurts, or because your blood pressure skyrocketed. What are you gonna do then? That kind of love won't last long. I have no health problems. Peter shouted and convinced himself more and more that his love with Veronica was real. Such relationships are not uncommon nowadays. Many celebrities are in such unequal marriages. After all, he's older than her, but he looks much younger than his age. Are you trying to compare yourself to celebrities? Seriously. The difference between you is that they're insanely rich and famous and you're not. Leave me alone. Peter said irritably and regretted sharing his feelings with such rude people. You guys have changed so much. I hope you won't tell your wives about this conversation. Friends felt strongly offended by these words. They quarreled and stopped inviting him to weekend meetings. I don't need friends like that, Peter said with a smile, because now he could spend Friday nights with his beloved Veronica. His wife didn't know anything about the quarrel between friends and was sure that Peter was spending time with his friends. Things were going so well with Veronica that Peter sometimes began to worry. They always understood each other, felt each other, and even loved the same food. They had so much in common that Peter was angry that he was born so much earlier than Veronica. Did Peter think about divorcing his wife? Of course, he thought about it many times. But there were many things stopping him. First, he didn't want to offend his wife, Haley, for he really thought that if he left her she wouldn't be able to bathe and would die. But it was also hard for him to imagine his future with Veronica. If he and Veronica got married, she would finish university and start working, and they would have to earn money to buy their own apartment. Because Peter, as a decent man, would certainly leave his house to his wife and children. Later, Veronica will want to have a baby, then a second baby, and maybe even a third baby. Peter is fine with that. But what does that mean? It means starting all over again. All over again. It's interesting, but he's already had it all. And the biggest question is, will he be happy? And can he make Veronica happy? Besides, he didn't want to talk about it, but he realized that he was really much older than Veronica, and that could really become a problem. After all, he's not a celebrity or a billionaire. And actually, he lied to his friends he has some health problems. All these thoughts tormented Peter. He couldn't break up with Veronica. He was drawn to her, and if he didn't see her for a few days, he began to miss her very much. But at the same time, he got used to his wife. They may no longer have a passionate love, but they have a friendship. He trusted his wife, and he felt comfortable knowing she was always there for him. He and his wife had no surprises, no hysterics or scandals. They had a boring, typical life, but was a very comfortable life. Moreover, they have children who will soon grow up and become parents themselves. And Peter will have grandchildren. Why is it so complicated? What if I test Veronica and Haley's feelings this way? He couldn't stop thinking about this idea. That way I don't have to make a decision. Or am I wrong? Peter kept thinking about this stupid idea. And the more he thought about it, the less stupid it seemed to him. Peter's friend works in the emergency room. He can wrap Peter in bandages in such a way that no one will ever doubt that he was in an accident. Aren't you afraid? His friend asked when Peter explained a brilliant plan of testing the women who loved him. What should I be afraid of? That they'll both abandon you? What will you do then? No, that can't happen. I know them. You'll see. They'll both come running to me, and they'll talk of eternal love. Peter answered confidently. And what will you do next? When? Peter didn't understand the question. Not when, but if they both come to you. If they both come to you, it won't help you in any way. Or do you want them to fight for you right in the emergency room? It was really weird, but Peter got mad and said there was no turning back. He would do everything himself, and all his friend had to do was wrap him in bandages and then call both women. And anyway, it's none of your business whether they come or not, Peter said, and immediately regretted it, as his friend demanded a bottle of whiskey as compensation. Deal. Call them. They decided to call Veronica first. The dormitory where she lived was very close to the hospital, and if she said she was coming, there wouldn't be much time to wrap him in bandages. But his wife couldn't get here fast enough. Peter's house was on the outskirts of the city. By the time Haley got there, the whole hospital could be covered in bandages. Call her, Peter said, and resolutely handed the phone to his friend. Is that how you entered your mistress's name into your phone? The man laughed when he saw how Peter saved Veronica's number. Peter's sense of humor was unusual, and not everyone understood it. Veronica was studying to be a veterinarian, so Peter saved her phone number as Meat Wholesaler. Peter always bought meat himself, so his wife wouldn't suspect a thing. This way I can call her almost every day without hiding my phone from my wife, Peter said boastfully. Why would you need so much meat? His friend asked, but Peter only said that it was time to call Veronica, since the clock was ticking and he was already hungry, and it was time to find out where he was going to have dinner tonight. I hope the 4 in the intensive care unit won't be your dinner tonight, his friend joked, and finally called the girl. Veronica immediately answered the phone, as if she was waiting for a call from her beloved man. But instead of saying something affectionately, she started shouting into the receiver. I told you not to call me today. I have an exam tomorrow. I told you not to bother me. Why won't you listen to what I tell you? Veronica hung up the phone. She was talking so fast and violently that the man didn't have time to say anything. Call her again. Peter got angry. The girl didn't want to talk to him and turned the phone off. Are we going to call your wife? His friend asked with a laugh. Gloomy forebodings tormented Peter, but he had already started it, and there was no turning back. Yes, call her. At least you put your wife's number in your phone properly. Just wife, not something else. Peter looked unhappily at his friend. Okay, I'm calling her, he muttered. The connection quality was terrible. Something hissed in the receiver, It seemed that this was not the 21st century with advanced technology, but the beginning of the 20th century, when communication had just appeared and a doctor was calling some small village where there was only one phone for all the inhabitants. "Hello," Haley answered, but her voice was distorted by the interference of the connection. "Is this Haley? Good afternoon. I'm calling you from the city hospital. I have something to tell you about your husband. Please don't worry." The doctor paused dramatically and continued. "Your husband was in a car accident. He's in a cast now. He may be paralyzed." At this point, Peter got a little scared and tried to imagine his wife. What if she faints? What if she's cooking dinner right now and knocks over a pan of boiling oil? Haley didn't say anything. Peter began to worry about her. "What did you just say?" his wife finally said, and Peter breathed a sigh of relief, but also felt a little resentful. He was probably paralyzed, and she didn't even faint. "Your husband was in an accident. But don't worry. I'm his attending physician, and I promise that he'll be fine." Peter tensed, realizing that now he was about to learn the truth. Now he would know how strong his wife's love was. Would she come to him in the hospital, crying, tormented by terrible thoughts? Peter didn't have time to think about it, because Haley asked a strange question. "Have you already finished your shift?" "Yes," the doctor replied in confusion. "But why do you ask?" "So you are not busy right now?" Haley clarified. "No, I'm not busy." "Then please wait a little while." "Okay, I'll be right back." "What should I do?" the doctor whispered. Peter shrugged. This was something he hadn't expected from his wife. What was she up to? "Are you still here?" Haley asked softly. Her voice was interrupted by the crackle and rustle that came from the phone. "Yeah, I just made a cup of coffee and sliced some pie. I just made an apple pie with cinnamon. It's delicious. Can you smell it?" Peter sniffed, and it seemed to him that he really could smell the delicious aroma of hot pie. The doctor turned slightly pale and wiped his sweaty forehead. "So, everything you said about Peter is not true. I've been busy all day with housework. Then I bought a chicken for dinner and did a little fortune telling. My husband is doing well. Even his hemorrhoids are going away. I didn't see any car accidents or injuries, but his mistress will leave him soon. Basically, it's understandable. She's a young, beautiful girl, and he's just an old, boring jerk. She's sick of him. Can you hear me? Doctor, can Peter hear me now?" "Yes, he can hear you," the doctor whispered, but Haley could hardly hear him. The telephone connection was getting worse. "Peter, let's make a deal. I'll forget everything that happened. I'll forget about your mistress, about your behavior, and about this stupid testament, but talk to your mistress yourself so I don't have to solve the problem myself. Deal?" Peter licked his dry lips and nodded. He thought Haley saw him. "That's fine. When you go home, buy some bread." Haley ended this unusual conversation and hung up the phone. "Is she a witch or something?" the doctor asked fearfully. "I didn't know that before." Peter blocked his mistress's number with shaking hands and rushed home. Around the same time, "Mom, I left my phone in your kitchen. Luckily I noticed it in time before I got on the bus." "Did someone call me?" Haley asked, entering Maria's house quickly. "Your husband called and asked if he should buy some bread or not. I told him this morning. He forgot again. Of course, he should buy some bread. I'll call him back in a moment." "Don't. I told him to buy bread." "Thank you." "All right. I gotta go home." "Why don't I make you a cup of coffee first?" Mom asked. "No. I have to make dinner." "Is the pie ready yet?" "Of course. Hold on, I'll take it out of the oven and pack you half of it." "Ah, it smells so good." "Mummy, you're a real magician. I almost forgot. Take the chicken. There was a good discount at the market, so I decided to buy a chicken. Make chicken soup tomorrow." "Thanks, Mom." "Okay, I have to go. Call me when you get home." "Okay. But the connection in your house is really bad. I can't hear anything. At least go outside when you answer the phone." "Okay. I'll wait for your call." Haley carefully put the pie and chicken in her bag kissed her mom, and rushed home. Mary finished her coffee, carefully turned the cup over, blew on it, and muttered some words. Then she took the cup in her hand and began to look intently into the coffee grounds. Finally, everything's all right now. I can't believe it. They've been together for so many years, and he's still like a little kid to her, Maria muttered. She didn't like her son-in-law for his behavior and absent-mindedness.